We will now move to item number 1, SB 896. Senator Nguyen.
Mr. Chairman, is there a possibility if I can take them out of order since I have witnesses on the earlier,
That'd be fine,
some of them,
certainly.
and
Where would you like to?
can I take SB 1044?
Item number 3, SB 1044, members. And colleagues, we will take that item next.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Hill and members. Actually, it's almost morning. SB 1044 would give the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology authority to assess by regulation whether fine should be given to both the owner and the individual for the same violation, as well as establish a payment plan for fines that exceed $500. The board currently issues citation with fines to both individual licensees and the owner of an establishment for a violation that has been committed by the individual. For example, if the board finds that a licensed cosmetologist is using a dirty hairbrush, a fine of $100 is issued to both the cosmetologist and to the owner. SB 1044 will not take away the responsibility of the owner of the establishment, but will allow the board to determine when the fine shall be assessed to both the individual and the owner. This allows the board to hold individual licensees to a higher level of responsibility by ensuring that the individual who has attended school and passed the licensing examination is the first line of consumer protection and therefore responsible for upholding the health and safety laws of the board. Many establishment owners have agreements with booth renters that require the booth renter to pay both the individual fine as well as the fine assessed to the establishment owner. This will eliminate these individuals having to pay a double fine. The bill also allowed the board to enter into a payment plan for a citation that exceeds $500. The board often issues citations that range from $2,000 to $5,000. This can be significant impact to small business and licensee, and simply allows the board to establish a method for the individual to make payments as opposed to paying the entire sum at one time, which will also allow them not to lose their license for whether the establishment or the licensee, so they can continue to work and make the payments. SB 1044 would allow the board to work with individuals on a case-by-case basis to try and set up a payment plan for any outstanding fines. It is for these reasons I ask for your aye vote. I have with me Christy Underwood with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology here to speak in support.
Very good. Thank you. Please.
Thank you. I'm Christy Underwood, Executive Officer with the board. Our board did take a position to support. We think that this is a good move for us. We currently issue our citations by way of review. Once an inspector does their inspection at the salons, the report comes back into our office, and then we're able to determine who gets the citation. And so right now we have that ability to easily make the determination on who actually went to school and who actually passed our licensing exam, whereas an owner could be somebody from a corporate office in another state. Instead of doing the double fine, we would have the ability right there to issue the fine to somebody who we've tested for minimal competency. And then as for the payment plans, we believe that this has been a huge issue that licensees have come to us. We do have some significant fines. If we find that a nail salon is not disinfecting foot spas properly, that's a $500 fine per chair in the salon. Most could have 10 to 20 chairs, so it's $500 per chair. So allowing them to make the correction but still stay in business with a payment plan so that their license doesn't lapse is something that we believe would be helpful.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Underwood. Others in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senators Fred Jones on behalf of the Professional Beauty Federation of California in support of the bill. We appreciate the fact that there's an opportunity to provide a payment plan for licensees who receive large fines. And on behalf of the booth renters, almost every booth rental contract has an indemnification clause, which basically says if by the owner and the contractor, if the contractor screws up and the owner ends up having to pay something as a result of that screw up, then the poor licensee ends up having to pay the establishment owner back. So they're paying a fine to the state board, and then they're also paying indemnification. So this will allow for non-egregious violations an opportunity for the state board to consider removing that double fine situation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Others in support? Seeing no one, is there anyone here in opposition? Very good. We'll bring it back to the committee. Any comments or questions? We have a motion from Senator Bates to move. And did you
Yeah,
take the technical?
yes,
You did.
I
Very good.
agree
Thank
to
you
the
very much.
amendments.
So we have a, would you like to close?
I ask for your aye vote.
Very good, thank you. We have a motion from Senator Bates on the bill with the amended, with the bill as amended. Please call the roll.
Okay, do pass as amended to Senate Appropriations. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Bates. Aye. Bates, aye. Berryhill. Locke. Locke, aye. Galgiani. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Jackson. Jackson, aye. Mendoza. Mendoza, aye. Wachowski. Wachowski, aye. Galgiani, aye.
The bill has 8 votes. We'll hold the roll open for absent members. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
where would you like to move now?
SB 1125, Mr. Chairman.
SB 1125. Very good. Item number 6. Please begin.
Thank you. I am pleased to present SB 1125, which requires the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology to require nail salon owners to acknowledge that they understand their responsibility to comply with the state labor laws when they are applying for or are renewing their licenses. This acknowledgement will list an existing or new applicable labor laws. I believe that salon owners want to comply with the law, but in the past have had difficulty understanding our complex labor laws. I recently held a town hall in my district where several salon owners had basic questions about how to comply with state labor laws, like workers' compensation. The nail industry in California is dominated by Vietnamese technicians and nail salon owners, which approximately about 80% of the nail industry are Vietnamese Americans in California. Language barriers and cultural differences have sometimes led to unintended violations. I'm working with the board to educate salon owners in a more effective way, and SB 1125 reflects that commitment by ensuring that all nail care establishments are on the same page regarding the labor laws of California. I believe that providing nail salon owners a document that includes updated labor laws at the time they obtain or renew their licenses will help salon owners stay current on labor laws so that there are no unintended violations. It is for these reasons I ask for your support, and I also have Fred Jones.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Senators, Fred Jones again on behalf of the Professional Beauty Federation of California. We are in support of this measure. There's other bills that will be coming from the lower house. We anticipate that we'll be tackling this issue as well as a result of a New York Times series, and which, by the way, I need to commend your committee staff for a very thorough analysis on this bill, but all of Senator Nguyen's bills. We think this is basically a no-brainer. You need to understand the basic labor laws to be able to employ people in California, whether it's in a nail salon or anywhere else. And this will remove one of the excuses that we often do here at disciplinary review committees that I didn't know. And for things like workers' compensation, there really isn't any room for pleading ignorance. So this is a simple acknowledgement that you understand basic labor law, and the bill actually says 4 specific areas. So it's specific, it's reasonable, we think it's balanced, and so we support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Others in support? Is there anyone here in opposition? Very good. Questions? Very good. We will have a motion then from Senator Bates. I guess and the senator and I chatted about this, and some of the concerns that I had is, certainly we want to make sure that we ensure, especially women, and mainly in this occupation, and primarily immigrants who have come here and working in the nail service industry. But I guess the challenge, the 2 issues that I see before us, one is how are we going to, given that the board does not know today which establishments would have to comply with the acknowledgement because they don't know who is a nail salon and who is not a nail salon. So that's the first challenge that I see. And the other is this seems like more of a Division of Labor Standards enforcement issue rather than an enforcement in terms of enforcement of labor standards. So what we're basically telling someone to do is sign that you agreed to something that you've already agreed to do and that you already know the law or should know the laws. So we're really reminding someone that to follow laws that they should already know that they're on the books and that they should be following. So, I mean, I'm going to support it because as in our conversation, you were willing to see how we can address those issues and see how we can maybe get it to work a little better in there too. So,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the barber and cosmetology side could probably answer most of your questions. And so let me just hand it over to Christy.
So our board hasn't taken a position on this bill, but we do recognize the importance of things that had happened in New York. And we have a serious language barrier in this industry. Everyone in every ethnic background gets services. So we've done a large part of trying to create and improve our language access. But we do still find that there is a lot of information that people just don't know. And this being one in those areas is some of the labor laws. So while we do not enforce labor laws, it's not our jurisdiction, we do think we could be helpful in determining and getting that information out to our licensees. We are on the Breeze system. We have already checked to see if there's a method that we could use to identify salons and what type of services they provide, and we think that we would be able to easily do that with Breeze. And so it is definitely something that I think our board would be supportive of, and we think we could be the right avenue to at least get that initial understanding out to our people applying for an establishment license.
and you'll be looking at that when and if you do and are able to determine the salons and what they do and what particular specialty they have.
Right. We would have, our 5 individual license types they would have to tell us what type of service they're providing in their salons. Would be a fairly simple task.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. Other questions or comments? Hearing none, would you like to close this?
I'm respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Norton. We do have a motion from Senator Bates. Please call the roll.
Motion is due pass to Senate Appropriations. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Bates. Aye. Bates, aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Block, aye. Galgiani. Aye. Galgiani, aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hernandez, aye. Jackson. Aye. Jackson, aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mendoza, aye. Wachowski. Aye. Wachowski, aye.
8-0. We'll hold the roll open for the absent member, and thank you very much. Now, I guess we'll move back to item number 1.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am honored to present SB 896, which will require any nail salon that accepts a debit or credit card as payments for services to also accept a debit or credit card payment for a tip. Currently, nail salons in the state accept various forms of payment for services provided and any tip left for the technician. Some salons only accept cash for both services and tips. Most establishments allow clients to use a debit or credit card for the cost of the service and to leave their technician a tip on the debit or credit card. A small number of establishments accept paying for a service with a credit card or a debit card, but do not allow a tip to be charged. As the analysis points out, according to the United States Small Business Administration, credit and debit cards have evolved into the most common method of customer payment. This bill will not require salons to offer the use of credit or debit cards. This is a business decision. Clients at cash salons know to bring cash for tip as well as for the services. However, for customers who frequent a salon that accepts debit or credit cards, they often do not carry cash with them because they assume that they will be able to leave a tip on their debit or credit cards. Tips are the property of the employees and are an important source of income for most technicians. If an establishment doesn't allow for tips to be made with a debit or credit card, the technician may not be tipped. Requiring salons that allow clients to use credit or debit cards to also leave a tip on a credit card or debit card would not only be more convenient for the client, but will also ensure that technicians are appropriately compensated for their labor as well. And for this, I ask for an aye vote.
Very good. Thank you, Senator Nguyen. Are there witnesses here in support? Those in opposition? Mr. Jones? You're a busy man today.
Yes. Senator Nguyen's making my life busy. Obviously, it doesn't make me feel good to come up and oppose Senator Nguyen's bill. We believe salons that only provide means for tips through credit cards have a moral obligation to provide it. That doesn't necessarily mean that we think they should have a statutory obligation. And for the simple case of we believe this goes a little too far in statutorily micromanaging how businesses choose to operate, we have to oppose. There are issues about credit card charges. Typical rate is about 3% on anything charged that the salon owner has to pay. And while it is possible to back that out of the tips, it does become somewhat of a paperwork nightmare because according to law, if the pay period is the next day, they have to provide tips 100%. And then they would have to retroactively charge the 3% in the next pay period. So it does become difficult. So at least at an intellectual level, we can relate to salons who say, you know what, for tips, we're not going to take it. I don't want to deal with that 3%. Can you just pay cash? I will tell you admittedly that most technicians would prefer tips paid in cash. We won't explain why. But nevertheless, there's a moral and then there's a statutory. We agree with the intent behind this bill, but we can't concur with the statutory micromanagement, so we oppose.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Others in opposition?
Sorry, Senator.
Hearing no one, Senator Jackson.
It's just a question, are the workers, are they exempt from minimum wage because they're tipped workers?
No, absolutely not. All workers have to be provided at least a minimum wage in California, whether they're working, whether they're on standby, et cetera. It is possible to pool tips and count that against the wages as long as it's not about $3 an hour or more. But long story short, no. Everyone working in the state of California has to receive minimum wage.
So if so that minimum wage can include the amount of my tips?
It can to a certain amount. If it's more than $7 of your minimum wage, then no, you get everything above and beyond that. That's separate. But one step back, if I may, Senator, all tips are 100% the property of the stylist or technician, not the employer.
Right, but in factoring, I guess my concern is in factoring what that 100% of the tip is, if I may ask the senator, are you anticipating that if these tips are to be provided on credit cards, there is often a 2 or 3% carrying charge by the card company. How would that be? Would the owners of the salons be able to reduce the amount of when they determine minimum wage by that 3%? I mean, I'm concerned about the workers I've been to these salons and. You know, it's hard work and it's tedious work and it doesn't, you can't, unless you're absolutely brilliant at it, you can't just run 5 or 6 customers through in an hour. So the amount that you can make is not a lot. And I just want to make sure that these folks are paid fairly for this.
And that's why I propose this, Senator. Let me go back. Your question is, are these individuals minimum wage? Some of them are booth renters. So tips is actually a lot of where they make their money, and not so because they're booth renters. So it's not like they get they're not a W-2, so they don't get a salary on top of the tips. So half of their salary will be tips, and and I have to disagree with Mr. Jones in his comment. I know that it's sarcastic, but I want to make sure that we understand. We're not asking. I mean, these technicians want their tip, whether it's cash or credit card. I know he made a comment that, well, of course, everybody wants cash, and for whatever reason, we don't want to talk about. Let's not even get into that kind of discussion, because I don't think that's correct. I think that all I'm asking here is to allow them to have tip, because this adds to their salary. Some of them are minimum wage that are W-2, actual employees of the salon. Others are not, and they're booth renters. And so I have left it. I believe within the bill is the owner and the employees can also have an agreement with each other if they choose to allow with the credit card, they can charge the employees or not. However, if you think about this, let's just use for an example. If there's a $1 million revenue sale, if you do 20% tip, that's about $200,000. But if you only did 1% that the salon owners have to pay to the credit card company, that's only $3,000 of a $1 million revenue for the salon. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that if you're going to allow credit card and debit used for services, that a little tip could also be added. Because I'll be honest, most of the individuals like myself who are Generation X, tends to use, if we're a credit card user, we use credit card. If we use cash, we use cash. You know, even in the salon that I've gone to recently, they started going on to, you can pay for the service credit card, and then you have to tip. And occasionally, I would have to run out, go to the bank down the street, and then get some cash. And it's not a lot, $7, $8 in tip. Then I come back. But I'll be honest, I'm one of the few who would do that. And especially if you're in a coastal area, a lot of individuals just walks in, get their nail done real quick, and then leave. So there's not an opportunity for them to actually go down the street and get cash. And so I'm just hoping that these employees are given that opportunity so that they don't lose out on that extra money.
Senator Nguyen, I have a question on the, you talk about booth renters. If you're renting a booth, then you're not an employee, you're renting a booth. You're not a contractor either, because you are paying so much in rent for that space. You're paying a monthly fee. So all of the revenue that comes in for your services will go directly to you, the tip as well as the other part. And is it your understanding that then that would be paid separately? Or usually if you're renting a room, that client pays directly to that service provider and would take a credit card, and it could be all in the service or however it would be done.
My understanding, so it's a little tricky. Some booth renters, they have their own establishment, but they also have an agreement with the owner because they don't have their own credit card that they carry with them. So they usually also use the salon credit card machine, and so they get their money at the end. So it really depends on the establishment, depend on their relationship or their contract with the employer or the owner versus the booth renter. But then again, then you looked into the nail salon industry. There's not many that booth renters doesn't really exist as much because they're petty spa now. They're not booth renters like a hair salon. So even the terminology hasn't been updated since when nail salons and hair salon has been established. And so there's a lot more that can be fixed. I'm just trying to take a little bite at a time.
Okay. Other question, Senator Block, yes.
Yeah, a question for the author. Would this be precedent? Are there other businesses where we, as a legislature, mandate that tips be in cash or by credit card or whatever?
I don't think there is.
Not that
This would be the first.
I believe this is the first. And this is, I'll be honest, I have not seen an industry that I am aware of that says service is this and cash is for tip. There's not, I used to be a waitress. I worked across the Disneyland at several restaurants in the past. And, at restaurants, it's very common. You can have restaurants that says cash only, and that's it. But majority of the restaurants that are not mom and pops allow credit cards, and if they allow credit card, they also allow you to put tip as well. I have not come across an industry that I'm aware of, besides this industry, that has now narrowed down very specifically and not allowed the tips to be included in the credit cards.
Okay, thank you. To me, frankly, that's up to the person who owns a small business, how they want to collect both their fee and also how they want tips to be. I guess I don't see starting a precedent where we as a legislature tell small businesses what they have to do in this regard. So I will be opposing this.
Thank you, Senator Mendoza.
Thank you. I just want to commend the author for bringing this bill forward. I do think that in today's age, I think these folks that are in these salons, they work really hard to earn a living, and to see the owners that are not willing to work with them and provide them an opportunity to get their tips through a credit card, even though they have it available for the customers to use. I don't understand why. The more customers they get, the more happy their customers are, the more convenient it is for their whether it be their employees or whether it be their individual independent contractor, or however they want to name them, to thrive. They're going to thrive overall in the long run. And I just don't see why I'm puzzled on why they would be resistant to helping their own employees, their own contractors to thrive, because at the end of the day, they're going to thrive themselves. So I do commend the author for bringing this forward. I will be supporting it, and thank you for looking out for those folks that usually don't have a voice in this building because they're too far. They're usually the ones that we tend to just set aside. So thank you.
You other questions or comments? Well, Senator, when we did have a conversation about this a little while ago, and I had some concerns with it, and mainly a couple reasons. One, it is precedent-setting, I believe, and as you indicated, I don't want to say a handful, but you did say this was a very small part of the industry where this occurs, or may be occurring in some areas that that it exists in. And the other part that I see, there are other types of, whether the Starbucks, the Chipotles, a lot of those where you're not getting, they're restaurants, but they're service, and I always leave, pull out some cash and leave some for those people. If I pay by credit card, there's never a spot on there to add to that either. So it's due to my generosity or those patrons that come in to provide that. And so I just think it's, and especially going back to the comments that I raised to the other legislation, right now the board has no way of knowing who those nail salons are, where they are, and how to even enforce this if it were to go forward. So I will not be able to support it today, and I apologize. But is there a motion? Senator Bates was going to make the motion, but Senator Mendoza, if you'd like to make that, I would have made it for her behalf, but no, she's not here. No, it's just Senator Mendoza is moving the bill. Please call the roll.
Motion is due pass the Senate Appropriations. Hill.
No.
Hill, no. Bates. Berryhill. Block.
No.
Block, no. Galgiani. Galgiani, aye. Hernandez. Jackson. Mendoza. Mendoza, aye. Wachowski.
That bill has 2 votes, 2-1. We'll hold, I'm sorry? 2-2, and we'll hold the roll open for the absent members. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We will recess for session and then convene immediately after session here. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Roth. Sorry.